So we will be using this today. Super important that you know how to use this by the end of the day. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make an angle. Yep, I'm going to call the angle about 30 degrees. And this can be kind of tough to draw. We're going to do our best. And I'm going to have a side of length 10. Okay. I'm going to have a side of length 10. And I'm going to put down one more side. Okay. And I'm going to call that a length of about 8. Does everybody agree that this is a side-side angled triangle? Yeah. And if you look at it, when we have a side-side angled triangle, as you look at this decision tree, it says, is the side opposite the angle longer than the other given side? Or is the side opposite the angle shorter than the other given side? Which one do we have? We have shorter. Yesterday, all the examples that you looked at were where it was longer than the other given side. If it's longer, you just have one solution. But if it's shorter, we either have no solution or we have two solutions. So here's what I want to show you today, and this is what needs to sink into your brain. First of all, side-side angle, side opposite is shorter than the other given side. Watch my second solution. If I take this side and I were to swing it like that, does everybody agree that this side is still 8? So this is another triangle that has those properties. A 30-degree angle, a side of 10, and a side of 8. Here's one triangle that's 8, 10, 30, and here's another one that's 8, 10, 30. And so therefore, you could end up with two different solutions. And that's what we need to think about. Okay? All right. To help you understand how that sets up, we're going to set up the law of sine so you can see what's going on here. Okay? Sine of what over what? 30 over 8 is equal to sine of C over 10. Good morning. As you look at this angle, do you think that angle is smaller than 90 degrees or bigger than 90 degrees? It's smaller. Watch what happens when we solve for C. I'm going to multiply both sides by 10. And when I do, I get 10 sine of 30 over 8 is equal to the sine of C. Let's go to our calculator. We'll turn it on. And I'm going to press 10 sine of 30, and I'm going to divide by 8. Does anybody remember what I do to get the side? Very good. Second sine of the answer, and you can see I get 38 degrees. Is that bigger than 90 or smaller than 90? So this produced right now a 38.68 degree angle. No. I want to show you the other part. Watch if I took this side and instead of having a side 8 there, what if I had a side 8 over here? Is that angle right there, bigger than 90 degrees or smaller than 90 degrees? And the way that you would find that angle is you would take 180 and subtract whatever that is. and you get 144.317. I'm sorry, 141.317. Whoop. 141.317. So here's.
I need 141 because you plugged it in.
I took.
So what? 138.6.
Watchberg. Here's the piece that I want to sink into your brains. When we took 10 sine of 30 divided by 8, we got 0.625, and that was equal to sine of c. It turns out that if you take the sine of 38, 0.68, you get 0.625, don't you? Well, watch this. If you take the sine of 141.317, you also get 0.625. I took 180 and I subtracted 38.68. Now, you shouldn't feel like you need to understand the whole picture yet. Here's all you need to understand is that the sine of 38.68 is 0.625 and the sine of 141.317 is also 0.625. That there's two angles that have a sine equal to that, and you don't know which one it is when it's in a side angle position. And so we will go through how to solve that. So right now, just see that there are two possible triangles. Okay. Can we all accept that? Here's another situation. You might have a side angle where instead of two solutions, there might be no solutions. And I'll show you what that looks like. That's kind of our favorite one, okay? I'm going to draw the same type of situation. Side of 10, an angle of 30 degrees. And then I'm going to have a side length of 2. Does everybody agree that a side length of 2, that there's no way that would reach down and make an entire triangle, would it? This side is just way too short. There's no way. So I'll show you. If you go sine of 30 divided by what's the opposite side? 2 equals, say, sine of c over 10. Watch what happens when I'm going to multiply both sides by what? 10. So 10 sine of 30 divided by 2 is equal to sine of c. So I'll plug that into my calculator and I'll see what I get. 10 sine of 30 divided by 2. If we're finding the angle, what should we press, Josh? And watch what happens when I press second sine. Can sine ever be a value of 2.5? No. Remember, you just tested on it. When you graph sine, what's the biggest it can be? 1. What's the smallest it can be? -1. Sine always stays between 1 and -1. Is that between 1 and -1? No. And that's the kind of triangle you would have no solution in that situation. Or we could have the situation that we had yesterday. Trust me, if you just hold on for a little while, you're going to get it. I also have a side-side angle in this situation. Is the side opposite longer or shorter than the other given side? It's longer. And when it's longer, you just have one solution. And you can solve it just like you normally would. Sine of 30 over what? 13 equals sine of C over 10. We won't work it out, but you will get just one solution. So our big goal today, we're going to do 3 examples. You're going to have one that's no solution, one that's 2 solutions, and one that's 1 solution. And we want to try to diagnose which one it is and figure it out. Not easy, but you can do it. You ready? Here we go. I'm going to start by writing down my angles and my sides. Angle A, B, and C. Side A, side B, side C. Draw my triangle. Okay. Does everybody agree that this is a side-side angle triangle? And as soon as I see that, I know that there's a problem. Side-side angle always causes a problem. You're going to have to get used to going to your decision tree. And it says when you're solving the side-side angle, I look and decide, is the side opposite the angle longer, or is the side opposite the angle shorter than the other given side? Side opposite the angle is longer than the other given side. How many solutions does that mean? So I know I'm going to have one solution. So this one is a very nice problem. It's going to work out super easy. Thank you. So let's solve it. Sine of what over what? Sine of 42 over 22 equals sine of B over 12. I want to solve that. What should I do to both sides? Multiply by 12. Good. And I get 12 sine of 42 over 22 is equal to the sine of B. So we go ahead and take our calculator. And I have 22 sine of 42. And I'm going to divide by, whoop. Thank you, 12 sine of 42. And we're going to divide by 22. And I get 0.36498. Is that my answer? I'm finding an angle, so I need to inverse that result. Inverse that answer, and we get 21.41 degrees. So B is 21.41 degrees. What can I do now? Find angle C. Why? Good. 180 minus the 2141, or my previous answer, minus 42. And I get 116.59. I only have one piece left to find, and that's side C. Pythagorean theorem?
No, it's not a right triangle.
Not a right triangle. Can't use Pythagorean theorem. So what am I going to do? Law of sines. Sine of 42 over 22 is equal to sine of 116.59 over C. Hopefully now, after working on your assignment yesterday, you've been able to figure out your cross multiplying and do it rather quickly. Notice how we're going to multiply by these two, and we'll divide by that one. 22 sine of 116.59, and we divide by 22. Whoop, sorry, sine of 42. 22 sine of 116.59 divided by sine of 42. Am I solving for an angle or a side? A side. And so that's my answer, 29.4. Should that be the largest side? Yeah, it should. That was a problem basically straight from what we did yesterday and the day before. We okay with that? All right, let's try a different example. All right, I enter the same process. I've got a side-side angle situation. So I go to my decision tree. Is the side opposite the angle longer than the other given side? Or is the side opposite the angle shorter than the other given side? Shorter. So if it's shorter, then we either have no solution or we have two solutions. Let's figure out if we have a no solution or if we have two solutions. I will set up the law of sines. Sine of what over what? Over 15 is equal to? Sine of B over 25. I want to solve. What should I do to both sides? Multiply by 25. So 25 sine of 85 over 15 is equal to the sine of B. I'm going to figure out what that is. 25 sine of 85, and I divide by 15. 1.66 is equal to the sine of B. Can sine be equal to 1.66? Why? Sine's got to be between 1 and -1, right? Notice what your decision tree says. It says when solving for the missing angle, which we're trying to do, if sine is greater than 1, then there's no solution. Is sine greater than 1 here? It sure is, so there is no solution. You're done. So on your test, you could have a problem like that, where you don't have to find any of the rest of the sides or angles. You just write no solution, you're done. You like that one? All right, let's try our last example. A, B, and C. A is 20.5 degrees, side A is 12, side B is 31. A is 20.5, side A is 12, and side B is 31. Everybody agree it's a side-side angle? So I go to my decision tree. Is the side opposite the angle longer or shorter than the other given side? It's shorter, so I need to see if I have no solution or two solutions. I don't know until I set it up. So we'll set it up. Sine of what over what? How do I solve? Yep. up. So 31 sine of 20.5 divided by 12 is equal to the sine of b. I just multiply both sides by 31. Let's multiply that and see what we get. 31 sine of 20.5 divided by 12. And I get 0.9047. Somebody tell me, can sine be 0.9047?
Yeah.
Yes, and this is the key moment, and this is where everybody messes up. Your decision tree tells you exactly what to do, but people don't know how to read it. It says, when solving for the missing angle, if sine is less than 1, then there are two solutions. Is sine less than 1? Yeah, it says at this point, set up two possible triangle solutions. So let's set up the two possible triangle solutions. We have triangle 1, we have triangle 2. We're going to set up a second triangle that is 20.5 degrees. A is 12, B is 31. We're going to get to Burke's question earlier. Everybody good how I figured out a second triangle? All right, so now we continue to read. It says triangle 1 will have theta be an acute angle. So let's come up with the acute angle, okay? If I'm solving for an angle, what do? Inverse. So let's inverse sine of that answer. Did you get an acute angle or an obtuse angle? Acute, 64.78. That's what B is. 64.78. What's that? Look at what it says. It says triangle 2 will have theta be an obtuse angle. In order to find the obtuse angle, all we do is you take 180 minus the 64.78. And you get 115.22. Do you see how I got the 64.78? Then I took 180 minus that to get that. That's the only part that's confusing. The rest, we just figure out like normal. All three of these angles have to add up to what? 180. Here's what I want. I want this table here and everybody there. I want you to finish off by solving triangle 1. Okay? So figure out C and then figure out side C using the law of sines. You guys here and over here, I want you guys to finish by solving triangle 2. Solve for angle C and side C. Go ahead. Confirm with your partners to make sure you got the same thing. Go.